Imagine building a billionaire empire.
Right.
Right. But without singing a single note,
Right.
without acting in a single movie or, scoring a single goal, the Kardashian-Jenner family did exactly that.
They certainly did.
Yeah, they turned their daily lives into a product and the whole world watched. But how did they actually do it? Are they brilliant business masterminds who cracked the code of human attention? Or are they just a troubling symptom of a superficial culture? Welcome to today's deep dive. Let's get right into it.
It is a fascinating question because when you look closely at what our society values today, you see this massive shift.
Yeah, a huge shift.
And to be honest, I think it's a matter of looking at the attention economy. I am quite critical of this type of fame.
Okay, critical. Tell me why.
Well, the attention economy is a system where simply getting people to look at you is somehow more important than producing anything useful, and it is often more profitable too.
I see your point, but I disagree because, well, look at the sheer intelligence it took to build this. Yes, they didn't just participate in that culture. They engineered it. They turned their everyday life into a massive global business. I mean, think about your own social media feed right now.
Yeah, everybody sees them.
Exactly. Even if you actively try to avoid the Kardashians, you probably know exactly what they were wearing yesterday. Or, who they are dating. They are impossible to avoid.
That is entirely true. They are everywhere. But to understand how they captured that much attention, we have to look at the mechanics of their rise.
The early days.
Right. We need to go back to the origins of their fame, which, surprisingly, starts in a courtroom, long before reality television was a normal thing.
Oh, right. The story starts with the father, Robert Kardashian.
Yes, back in 1995.
Right. He was a lawyer on the defense team for O.J. Simpson. And that trial was a global media event. Because he was accused of such a high-profile crime, it became the trial of the century.
Everybody watched it.
Every single day. So the Kardashian name appeared on television for months. That was the family's very first introduction to the power of the camera.
It gave them a famous name, certainly. But a famous name does not automatically build a billionaire empire.
Oh.
To see how they actually learned the mechanics of modern fame, we have to look at the early 2000s.
Right, with Kim.
Yes, Kim Kardashian was working as a stylist, but she was working for Paris Hilton.
And this is where it gets incredibly interesting to me. Because a lot of critics say Kim just got lucky. Like she just had a rich, famous friend.
That is the common criticism.
But if you look closer, Kim was acting like an ambitious apprentice. She was studying a master craftsman. Paris Hilton was the ultimate celebrity of that era. She was, famous for being famous.
Exactly. The media was completely obsessed with her. So when Kim started appearing in paparazzi photos standing next to Paris,
Yeah.
the journalists naturally started asking, who is that woman?
Right.
But Kim was not just standing there. She was learning exactly how celebrity culture worked from the inside. She was taking notes.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
However, taking notes from a famous friend only gets you so far.
Yeah, you need a spark. Exactly. You still need a massive catalyst to capture the public's attention on your own. And in 2007, a massive scandal provided that catalyst.
The tape.
Yes, a private, intimate video of Kim Kardashian and her ex-boyfriend was published. She stated it was released without her permission.
The scandal was just enormous. Suddenly, she was not just Paris Hilton's stylist anymore. Her face was on the cover of every magazine. Everybody was talking about her.
They certainly were.
But here is the brilliant part, the part that separates them from everyone else who just, fades away after a scandal. Just a few months later, their reality show premiered.
Right, Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Exactly. It launched on the E! Channel.
You really have to pause and look at the timing of that.
It's incredible timing.
Right. A massive career-defining scandal happens, and immediately they have a fully produced television show ready to release. Many people believe that is not just a coincidence.
Okay, but whether it was a coincidence or a calculated move, it was an absolute genius strategy.
Okay.
They did not hide.
No, they didn't.
The reality show followed their daily life. It showed every family argument, every relationship problem, every vulnerable moment. It was undeniably entertaining, and it worked so well that it ran for 14 years.
20 seasons.
20 seasons. They used a scandal that would have destroyed anyone else to launch a 2-decade television career.
But let's look at how they orchestrated that pivot, because this brings us to the first major theory behind their success.
Kris Jenner.
Yes, Kris Jenner. She is the mother, but she is also the manager of her children's careers.
The momager.
The media calls her the momager, exactly.
She is the absolute mastermind of the operation. Kris Jenner realized something fundamental about the modern world. Attention itself can be a product.
It's true.
Every time her family had a bad argument or a divorce, she didn't try to keep it a secret. She negotiated a new deal. She turned private pain into public entertainment.
It is incredibly effective business, but we have to ask if it is ethical. There is a very popular rumor, a long-standing rumor, that Kris Jenner herself organized the release of Kim's private video.
Just to create publicity for the new show.
Exactly.
The family has always been extremely quick to deny that rumor.
Yes, they deny it, and nobody has ever been able to prove it. But think about what it means that society even believes this rumor.
Oh, I see.
It shows that people recognize Kris Jenner will do absolutely anything for marketing. They view her as someone who treats her own family's privacy as a resource to be sold.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. To me, it shows immense respect for her ruthless business skills.
Ruthless is a good word for it.
Yeah. But Kris Jenner's television deals wouldn't have been enough on their own to create billionaires.
Yeah.
Television is still, a middleman.
Right. There are producers, networks.
Exactly. The real empire was built because they figured out how to cut the media out entirely. And they did that through their absolute mastery of social media.
This is a crucial transition. They became famous right at the exact moment that platforms like Instagram and Twitter became powerful tools.
The perfect timing again.
Right. Before this, a celebrity needed a journalist to write an article or a magazine to publish their photo.
Exactly. But Kim and her sisters realized they didn't need magazines anymore. They used their phones as a direct tool to reach the public.
They bypassed the journalists completely.
They controlled the lighting, they controlled the narrative, and most importantly, they controlled the product links.
Today, the family has more than 1 billion followers combined.
1 billion.
Yes. And when you have 1 billion followers, you basically own the distribution channel.
Think about the scale of that. 1 billion followers. If Kylie or Kim posts a single picture holding a product, that advertising can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Instantly.
Yes, instantly.
But this brings me right back to my main criticism of the attention economy.
Okay, let's hear it.
In this system, attention literally equals money. When you have 1 billion followers, you do not need to sing well. You do not need to act. You do not need to write good books.
You just need them to look at you.
Exactly. Sociologists call this phenomenon manufactured fame. The product is not a song. The product is the fame itself.
And people consume that product for very different reasons.
Yes. Some viewers follow them because they genuinely love them. They want to be them.
And other people follow them just because they love to criticize them.
Exactly. But in both cases, the family wins. A click is a click. Attention is attention. And frankly, I find this troubling.
Troubling. Why?
Think about the influencers in your own city. You probably know local people who are famous simply for posting heavily edited photos of their daily lives. We have to ask ourselves, is being famous for being famous a real talent? Or is it just a cheap trick that degrades our culture?
I see why you ask that, but I have to fiercely defend them here. At the end of the day, what really matters is the result.
The money.
No, the skill. In the 21st century, capturing and holding human attention is the single most difficult thing to do. There's an infinite amount of information on the internet.
That is true.
So getting millions of people to look at you every single day for years is a talent. It is the ultimate talent.
Let's not forget, though, that getting people to look at you is only step one.
Right?
The real trick, the real mechanics of their wealth is getting those people to open their wallets and buy things.
Wow.
And they do that through a very specific, very powerful psychological mechanism.
You're talking about parasocial relationship.
Exactly. Psychologists use the term parasocial relationship to describe a very modern situation.
Right, where it's a one-way street.
Yes. It is when a viewer feels a strong, deeply personal connection to a celebrity they have never actually met.
And when you look at how they design their reality show and their social media, it makes perfect sense. If you watch a family on television for 20 seasons, you literally watch them grow up.
You see everything.
You watch every wedding, you watch every divorce, you see them having babies in the hospital, and you watch them have terrible crying arguments in their living rooms.
It creates an illusion.
Yes. After a while, your brain stops processing them as distant celebrities. The illusion of intimacy is so strong, they feel like your actual neighbor.
But we have to remember it is a completely one-sided connection. You know everything about their private lives, but they do not know you exist.
True.
And this psychological trick is exactly how they built their massive business empire. Because fans feel this deep manufactured emotional connection, they want to support their friends.
Right, in quotes, they're friends.
Exactly. So when their friend tells them to buy a new product, they buy it immediately.
And they buy massive amounts of it. They converted this emotional connection into billion-dollar companies. Like Kylie Jenner started Kylie Cosmetics, a makeup brand.
Right.
And she used her Snapchat and Instagram to market it directly to her fans. She became extremely wealthy when she was practically still a teenager.
It was unprecedented.
And Kim created Skims, a highly successful clothing brand. Chloe built a fashion brand called Good American. They are billionaires today because of this exact strategy.
They bypassed the traditional business models completely. No department stores needed it first.
This is exactly why I admire them. Think about it. They're acting exactly like Silicon Valley tech founders. But instead of writing computer code to make a software program addictive, they coded human emotion and loyalty.
That's an interesting way to put it.
They understood human psychology perfectly. They used vulnerability and aspiration to keep people emotionally invested. I mean, would you accept showing your most private life, your worst moments, and your biggest family arguments on television for 20 years in exchange for money?
Most people could never handle that pressure.
Exactly.
The pressure is immense, I will give you that. However, we have to look critically at the consequences of this strategy. These parasocial relationships can be dangerous.
How so?
Are we replacing real-world communities and real-life friends with a manufactured, one-sided emotional bond? And all of this just so a billionaire can sell us more clothing and makeup. We really have to look at the dark side of this phenomenon.
Okay, let's explore that dark side. Because to your point, they certainly receive a massive amount of heavy criticism.
They do, and it is deserved. The first major criticism is about the beauty standards they promote.
Ah, yes. The physical perfection.
Critics argue that the family constantly pushes an entirely impossible body image onto society.
Right, because the images they present are rarely natural.
Exactly. Their bodies and faces are often shaped by expensive surgery. They are presented with professional lighting and altered with heavy photo editing.
But they don't always admit that.
No, they don't. Yet they often sell products by claiming you can achieve their look just by buying their makeup or, exercising.
Which is very misleading.
Yes. Young people, especially young girls, compare themselves to these perfect manufactured images and end up feeling terrible about their own natural bodies.
It is hard to see young people struggle with their confidence because they're trying to reach a standard that doesn't actually exist in reality.
Which leads to a very important discussion question for society. What responsibility do celebrities actually have for the beauty standards they promote? If you know hundreds of millions of young people are watching your every move, do you have a moral duty to be honest about your surgery and your photo editing?
That is a complex question. On the one hand, I agree that these impossible images cause real stress and damage to self-esteem.
It's a proven fact.
On the other hand, we have to ask, did the Kardashians really create these beauty standards? Or are they simply acting as a mirror?
A mirror.
Yeah, maybe they are just giving society exactly what it was already demanding. We reward physical perfection with our likes, our attention, and our money. So they simply figured out how to build the perfection we were asking for.
But they do not just reflect society, they actively shape it. And sometimes they take things that do not belong to them to build that image.
You're talking about cultural appropriation.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the second major criticism they face. Cultural appropriation. The family has been accused time and time again of copying elements of Black culture.
Right. Critics point to specific hairstyles, fashion choices, and overall aesthetics that they have adopted over the years.
They adopt these styles to make themselves look cool, edgy, and modern, and then they make millions of dollars from those trends.
But critics argue they do this without giving any credit.
Exactly. No credit, no respect, and no financial support to the original culture that actually created those styles. They treat another community's culture like a costume, something they can put on when it is profitable and take off when they are tired of it.
We absolutely have to report what the critics are saying here, and it is a very serious conversation. And it connects to the third big criticism, which is about their impact on the environment and, their promotion of extreme consumerism.
Yes, their entire brand is built on celebrating excessive luxury.
Private jets.
Exactly. We are talking about taking private jets for flights that last only 15 minutes. We are talking about living in enormous mansions and driving fleets of highly expensive cars.
A lot of excess.
It is. And in a world that is facing a serious climate crisis, critics argue that this constant daily promotion of extreme materialism is deeply harmful to the environment.
So if we step back and look at the arguments against them, we have a clear list. They promote unrealistic beauty standards, they appropriate culture for profit, and they celebrate a level of excessive consumerism that damages the planet.
Yes.
And underneath all of this is the oldest critic's argument of all. They have no actual talent.
Which brings our debate right back to the central question.
It does, because a defender like me will always say that building a billion-dollar global brand out of a simple reality show is the talent. It requires incredible world-class skills in marketing, business strategy, and human communication.
So, if we connect this to the bigger picture, what does this all mean?
That's the real question.
When we look at the whole story, the 1995 trial, the 2007 scandal, the mastery of social media, the billions of dollars, and all the valid criticism, what does the Kardashian phenomenon actually tell us about the modern world?
Well, I think it tells us that in the 21st century, human attention is the single most valuable resource on the planet.
More than oil.
It is more valuable than oil. It is more valuable than gold. If you can figure out how to capture human attention, you can build absolutely anything you want.
I completely agree with you on that point. It also shows that the traditional line between a private life and public content has disappeared entirely.
Oh, completely disappeared.
Everything a person does today, eating breakfast, having an emotional argument with a sister, going on a vacation, or getting married can be packaged into content and consumed by total strangers.
And it ultimately proves that fame is no longer just a lucky accident. In the past, you had to hope a Hollywood director would randomly discover your talent.
Right.
Now, fame is a rule-based game. It is a resource that you can design, plan, and produce, just like a factory produces cars.
We clearly have different opinions on whether this system is a good thing. I believe the environmental damage, the unrealistic beauty standards, and the celebration of manufactured fame over genuine talent are negative forces dragging our society down.
And I still admire the absolute business genius it took to build their empire from scratch. By perfectly reading the rules of the modern attention economy, we can agree to disagree on whether we should admire them or criticize them.
But I think we can both agree on one undeniable fact.
What's that?
For better or worse, the Kardashian-Jenner family understood the rules of the modern digital world long before most of us even knew there was a game being played. And they played those rules better than anyone else in history.
Very true. They didn't just play the game, they wrote the instruction manual for modern fame. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive today. But we want to leave you with one final provocative thought to consider.
We spent all this time talking about how the Kardashians manufactured their fame and erased the boundary between their private lives and public entertainment.
Right. But now, thanks to platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and whatever comes next, we all have a broadcast camera in our hands every single day.
So, here is the question to think about. If fame is now simply a manufactured product that is managed on social media, are we moving toward a future where everyone manages their own mini reality show for their friends and followers?
Exactly. If we are all carefully editing our photos, filming our daily dramas, and constantly trying to capture the attention of our peers, will the very concept of a celebrity eventually disappear entirely? Because pretty soon we might all just be starring in our own shows. Thanks for diving deep with us today.